Hey, good afternoon, goeiemôre. Kyk wat stories. Hoop dit gaan goed saam met julle. We're going to talk about droning today. Ons praat oor drones, iets wat 'n bietjie besig is om te vinnig te groei. En ek is bang as mense gaan uitmis hier op. And last week we had a bit of a drone festival, small little drone festival, just showing the youngsters on the Cape Flats, in Pargo, especially, drones, and they were very excited. And that actually made me aware that this is something that can potentially keep out the youngsters out of danger, and it can potentially also become a financial um, thing for our youngsters where they can get jobs and stuff, and where they can educate themselves, because drones is growing overseas. The drones are really taking off overseas, and why not utilize it in South Africa, Cape Town especially. So with me in the studio, I have a very, very young man. He's still very young, but we're very good friends. So he's gonna enlighten us on this topic of drones. Unfortunately, Mr. Marshall Nelson couldn't join us, but he will join us again. He's kind. But let's talk about drones. Hey, Mr. Mark, welcome, Mr. Sats.
Hey guys, hey Cape Flat Stories. Hope you guys are all well. Hey Stan, long time no see.
Yes, man, yes. Ons ken mekaar voor die drones al, but yeah.
Yeah, no, we go some time back, but
We go way
always
back.
been in contact. Always been in
Yeah.
contact. Always been good friends, and just
That's
sharing
right.
the love and motivation and support across the board. So happy about that.
Thank you, brother, man. Mark, just before we start with the drone things and the drone topic, just give us a bit of a introduction to yourself. Ek weet jy het 'n baie lang CV, but just tell them about this young man, and how ambitious you are. So maybe it will motivate one of our youngsters as well to
Uh,
also start dreaming.
no, definitely. So I obviously studied at Nelson Mandela University. I graduated in IT support back in 2016. I grew up in the northern areas of Port Elizabeth in a small little dorpie, if I can call it, Bethelsdorp village, the old Bethelsdorp. Also, didn't have access to any resources growing up. I mean, we were, I wouldn't say we were very poor, but we also struggled to get by. My parents have been in business for some time and having like vegetable stores and so on. So the genetically, I've inherited some of their business traits and skills, if I can say. And ventured off into a few things afterwards. I had a meat business at one stage, and had chips and popcorn and bombies also when I was a bit younger. So things turned out quite well. I must say I'm blessed. The support and the love I've been getting from friends and families also turned me into this well-rounded individual I am today. So yeah, and I think Stan, you've also played a big role in that as well, because we know one another for quite some time now. So whenever I'm in Cape Town, I always pop around and we would have these kind of conversations.
That's right. And thank you so much, man, Mark. But you now are doing some things up in that side of the world. I don't know if you guys still refer to it as PE or Kobe. Kobe.
I don't even
Kobe.
know how to pronounce it, so I'm not going to get into it.
You have now, I know you've got quite a few businesses, but or ventures that you are involved with. But just tell us more about drones. I just saw the other day you are very much active. You are very much busy with the
Yeah.
drones, and I know you're very passionate about it. Just tell us more about what it is that you guys are doing. I know you have your own company, and there's more guys with you as well. Just
Mhm.
give us a bit of more background on that as well, before we go into the nitty-gritty stuff.
Okay, so we founded Skyspeak Technologies, myself and a very close friend of mine, in December 2020.
Hmm.
It was basically, jy weet mos soos Suid-Afrikaners sê ons almal braai. So we were
Yeah.
sitting around the fire, and the conversation came up, and we said, look, uh, what about drones? We've been seeing things happening, and where is South Africa currently when it comes to drones? So
Mm-mm.
we said, look, let's look into it. I was ready to buy a drone at the drop of a hat, but
Mm-mm.
my close friend just told me, look, let's first look into it and see how things work. Like many makes the mistake when trying to venture off in these kind of businesses. They
Yeah.
buy the drone first, which
Yeah.
what we realized quickly was the wrong way to approach all of this. So
Mm.
once all of these things kicked off and we did the research, we put everything in place. It
Yeah.
was a collective of life experiences, if I can say. That's something I allude to quite a bit with my friend, and
Yeah.
obviously the CEO of the company. I'm the managing director.
Mm-mm.
We All of our life experience boiled up to this point in time with this drone company. So he's a civil engineer as well. I just
Yeah.
apologize that I couldn't get him on the live chat today. I would have really liked to have him to go through all of this with me, but I didn't know how your schedule was looking and how many people you could accommodate. But
Yeah.
nonetheless, so what we do is we use drones for the civil engineering side. We also use it for
Mhm.
inspections. We've just acquired drones to do crop spraying, so we're dabbling into the agricultural sector, and then
Mhm.
also in the media side now as well, where
Mhm.
we are going in for infomercials, doing some news feeds, reports, like advertising for different companies and clients, just to give or take out the helicopter aspect of running
Yeah.
advertising because it can get quite expensive. So
Mm.
saving other businesses money, obviously in the economy that we currently live in, I think it's very important to assist businesses in facilitating their profit margins a bit better. So when we
Mm.
do these things, it's usually at a really good price. So we always help them out when the business is looking for advertising, really good quality advertising.
Mm-mm. Mark, and you mentioned something there that you guys, like you said, now you do crop, crop as well. You look after obviously the farmers' crops, and it just tell us, is that possible with a drone? How do you do that? Because I know normally they
100%.
normally they have a big airplane flying over the
Yeah.
crops, and with drones, just for
Yeah.
interesting sake. How
It,
how
it
it is
has it
possible?
has its upsides and its downsides. Then the technology is there. I
Mm-mm.
know that the people use aircrafts to do these kind of things, but the world is moving as fast as what technology is moving, and South Africa is on a back burner. I mean, we can carry up to 30 liters of chemical now and
Yeah.
spray 30 liters per hectare
Mm-mm.
over a farmland, whether we're doing pesticides or herbicides. And
Mm-mm.
not wanting to get too technical, but the technology is out there. You need special licenses to
Mm-mm.
facilitate those kind of operations. But if you really go through the motions and through the process, what you start to notice is that the big farmers that use these crop sprayers, that it's feasible for them to be spraying with these massive
Mm-mm.
aircrafts. But when you look at the small farmer, your 100 hectares and below, your 70 hectares, those
Mm-mm.
farmers, it's not feasible for the aircrafts to
Yeah.
do those kind of sizes of farms,
Mm-mm.
and they're getting left behind, and their crops are
Mm-mm.
suffering at the end of the day when
Yeah.
they're not getting the coverage that they need to get covered and in an
Mm-mm.
accurate way, or the operation to get the spray sorted is quite
Mm-mm.
expensive because they need the manpower then on the ground.
Mm-mm.
So what we do is we come in with these massive drones, we fill it up with chemical, and we're able to cover the area accurately
Mm-mm.
with the AI technology that is incorporated in and so heavily integrated into the technology that we use. We can
Yeah.
cover a substantial amount of hectares in a short space of time. I think the
Mm-hmm.
win for us is also we can spray during the evening at night, where
Okay.
your manned aircrafts cannot do that. So we're
Yeah.
infiltrating a market that is very niche at the moment, but I do
Mm-hmm.
see the adoption of this market coming in at a later stage, or probably in the very near future, taking on drones more to facilitate those. I mean, we're cleaner. If you're in the agricultural sector,
Yeah.
you want clean air. Diesel is
Yeah.
expensive. So there's no emissions. We've got a zero emission from electronic waste
Yeah.
crop sprayers. So we're winning on both ends for the environment as well as for the company.
Yeah. Mark, the other question is this: it is now changing the lives of many farmers. It's being cost effective, right? So it's obviously playing a part. I did this. It's the first time. To be honest with you, that I heard of that. But this is what I just want to go further into. I see our government here in Cape Town recently used a drone, and they call it the eye in the sky. So I just want to
Mhm.
come back to you. What is your feeling on improving safety and security? Are we really tapping into the market of safety and security, um, by using drones? Because I believe, drones can be the eyes that our that our metropolis actually use, can need,
Yeah.
so just tell me what's your feeling on safety and security.
With regards to the safety and security, Stan, there's still a big gap that needs to be filled when it comes to that. We have a situation where the process that needs to be how can I say, followed before you put a drone in the sky. There's a massive delay. The Civil Aviation Authority has its processes set in place, and
Yeah.
that can take sometimes up to between 2 to 3 days before you can lift off an aircraft,
Yeah.
which is a drone, into the sky legally.
Mm-mm.
So what's happening currently when you have sting operations, or when certain things are happening at that moment in time when public safety is concerned, you first have to go through the process of filing your KMUs. Your flight plans need to be submitted. Those items take time to get approved. You have special geo zone locking that goes into place as well, that you need to do applications for to unlock those geo zones. Now, I'm not saying that the use of drones is detriment to the security industry. It is pivotal in shifting security in South Africa, especially
Yeah.
with how crime rate is looking. What I am saying is that we need better policies and procedures in South Africa to
Yeah.
facilitate faster responses when it comes to drones. I'm sure there's
Mm-mm.
probably special licenses you can get to facilitate those type of things. At this point in time, I don't think the country as a whole is at that point yet. We're
Yeah.
still trying to get there.
And I think, Mark, we it's probably going to take a while, as you know. This is South Africa, but I
Yeah.
also want to say this: there is opportunity for our youngsters. They can have their own start their own businesses. I mean, look at
Yes.
what you guys are doing. There's another thing that I am actually looking at, and maybe we can discuss that a bit, is
Mhm.
delivery of medical supplies. Now, some people in certain areas don't have access to transport. Now, I
Mhm.
just heard last week that some drones can drive up to 80 kilometers,
Yeah.
in distance. So, is this also something that we can look at, where you know you can like more to the medical side? Can we then
Mhm.
now send people, instead of sitting the whole day in a queue for the
Yeah.
medication, have a drone fly to their house or wherever, a spot
Mhm.
nearby, and drop it
Mhm.
there? I mean, delivery is something that I think that can make definitely use of, especially when it comes to medical
Yeah.
supplies. Can maybe make use of your drones.
Definitely, Stan. I'm a big advocate for technology and the progression of such technologies in our country. The one
Mm-mm.
thing that I must say that is a big concern when those type of questions arise is safety.
Yeah.
Above all else, safety is one of the most important aspects when it comes to a drone company or any drone operation. These machines can kill people. They can
Mm-mm.
cause serious damage. So
Yes.
what you need to consider first, if I can break it down for you, what a delivery would look like.
Mm-hmm.
You first have to do your applications, first of all, to the CAA to give you permissions, because if you're traveling over that distances, you travel through different airspaces.
Yeah.
And when you are in a control airspace portion, you need to understand that communication is important as well.
Yeah.
Last thing you want is flying your aircraft into a manned aircraft that is carrying passengers. Now you're in big trouble because you've jeopardized lives. So
Mhm.
there's a few issues that comes into play when you're doing delivery over that distances. One, the weather on this side where I'm taking off is not the same on the journey that I'm going to be traveling.
Yeah.
So there's a change in weather. The other thing also is you'll be traveling through different airspaces. How do you maintain communication
Mhm.
throughout that airspace?
Yeah.
Maybe you
Yeah.
can find a route and then make the different airspaces or controls towers aware of where you're flying to.
Mhm.
But let's just say for interest sake, you don't have that. So now you're flying through an airspace where
Mhm.
you don't have any communication and you can possibly
Mhm.
cause some serious damage. What happens
Mhm.
when the drone is no longer in your control and it's traveling to the ground and it's going to hit a car or
Mhm.
a house or any individual that is below that? I assume
Yeah.
that a drone traveling at that distance is also heavily dependent on its battery life. I think technology
Mhm.
globally is not at the
Yeah.
point where you can travel with your drone for
Mhm.
that distance.
Mhm.
Even if you're flying at a fast speed, your batteries deteriorate much faster. So there's quite a few factors one needs to take into account when doing that. Proven many times that you can deliver quite a few things with drones.
Yeah.
But for South Africa in itself, I don't think that we at that point yet where we able to execute on that. I would
Yeah.
like for anyone in the comments to give me an example when they if they do have and show me
Mhm.
how it is done. You know, there are quite a few people that are advocating for the delivery and security
Mhm.
systems in the drone industry. I really wish them all of the best because if
Mhm.
those boundaries and barriers are broken down
Mhm.
and the red tape is removed, the opportunity there for everyone else, especially the youngsters, the up and comers,
Mhm.
is going to be there, and we can create essentially much more jobs.
Yeah. Yeah. Mark, I just have a question here of from one of our followers. Let me just read it for you quickly.
No problem.
It's David Gauss. I have DJI drones, but the problem that I have is privacy issues. That is what you mentioned now. I
Yeah.
lost two drones in a flight and was replaced. Then assist my flight logs and pics taken. Just logged on. Does Sky manufacture their own drones here? So what is asking? Are you
Okay. We
manufacturing
actually
drones?
sounds good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. Now I see that. Thanks, David, for the question. What Stan, there is firmware updates that DJI just released. You
Mhm.
can essentially update your drone now, and then you can encrypt your cards, your SD cards. You can encrypt the
Yeah.
drone as well. You can encrypt your flight logs as well. So I think that's maybe just a firmware issue, David. What you need to do then there is look at the latest firmware package DJI released for the specific drone that you have and try to do an upgrade. While you're going through the upgrade, there will be options for you to encrypt your SD card as well as your flight logs. So that would be the option that you undertake. And not yet. I'm hoping far future that we can start
Mhm.
developing our own drones. I'm very interested to see how that would pan out. But we're not at a point yet where we are producing our own drones in South Africa.
Okay. Mark, then I want to ask you quickly, drones in engineering. I know you guys are using drones for, if I'm not mistaken, for civil engineering. How does
Yeah.
that work for you guys? I spoke to Marcel last week, Marcel Nelson from It's Plane. He manufactures his own drone, so he started recently, and I will still introduce you to him as well. Maybe the two of
Yeah.
you can maybe just
I
chat.
appreciate
But
that.
there's this thing. Um, you know what what drones he mentioned something, and he actually told the youngsters in Parkwood where we were last week, and he said to them, if you have a license, you obviously have to apply for for like a license, pilot license. You can't just fly a drone. There's many red tape and stuff, but if you have that license and you have a drone, a commercial drone, it can be beneficial for you. And like, I mean, they do hire you to take photos of certain things in certain areas for them, right? So
Yeah.
is this still a market that's going to grow? Remember when we went to go study IT? IT
Yeah.
was wide open. I'm an A plus, N plus gedoen.
Mm.
And eventually you find out, but yeah, no, why did I do this course? Because everybody became then now IT engineers, which actually
Yeah.
flooded the market,
The market, yeah.
until later on, there's no pa van hulle, but do you see this is going to happen also with the drones? Because okay, drones again on the other hand is quite expensive. Drones is
Yeah.
not cheap, so it's not anybody's
Definitely.
playing field. You know, what
Yeah.
do you think? How do you see the future of drones? Is there a career path for youngsters? Is this something that youngsters should keep their eyes on? Maybe in the meanwhile, get their license and maybe save up
Mm.
for a proper drone.
Yeah. Okay, so there's two questions you asked. One is for what we can do with the drones in the civil side, and then the other question is more to do with where do I see drones heading in South Africa with the youngsters and licensing and so forth, right? So I'll answer the first question. With the civil side, essentially we have a drone that can do surveying. So you see these land surveyors, they go out
Yeah.
and they set out a grid of 10 by 10 points that
Mm-hmm.
is geo-referenced.
Mm-hmm.
We have specialized cameras that can fly over a particular area where development is needed, and we can set out points 1 centimeters apart so that we
Yeah.
can create the surface for them to design any civil engineering or infrastructure or housing or pipelines or manholes systems, floodwater drainages, all of those
Yeah.
type of items. So the contribution we are making to the construction industry and civil engineering industry in South Africa, and not just us, any other civil engineering company or drone company contributing to this, assist in the economy in a big way because we have quicker turnaround times on projects. Time is money, we know that. We have
Yeah.
more accurate, better geo-referenced infrastructure now that we can put up, and essentially that facilitates economic growth because faster
Yeah.
project turnaround times then pushes for lesser capital outlay when you're busy doing these kind of projects. So
Mm-hmm.
fast is always better, more accurate, if I must say, because the processes we follow are quite still the same. It's just we are able now to collect the data and process it at a much faster rate.
Mm-hmm.
So all of this possible with technology. For the youngsters trying to get into the industry, what I do foresee, Stan, is it's a double-edged sword at the moment. You have a situation where South Africa needs drones,
Yeah.
but you have to haggle with the acceptance of the technology in the country. There is a stigma around drones when it comes to civil engineering and any other facet of or industry. So what you try and do is you try and educate as much as you can to your clients as well, and try and educate them on what the drones can offer, do demos, show them the outputs that you can provide, and how much more does it help them incorporate these type of technologies into their process flows or workflows that they are executing on. So
Mm-hmm.
interesting question for the youngsters out there that is looking to get into the industry. Look, I would say first of all, education is important. So I would home in on that quite a bit. You need to be educated in a sense where you are fluent in English because they do ask for proficiency in English. Because
Yeah.
the to have your pilot's license essentially entails you to be able to understand what it is that you are reading on paper and not just rabble it off in parrot fashion. So knowing how to do aeronautical mile conversions to where you need to talk about distances you're flying. You need to know meteorology because you need to understand what the weather is doing. You need to
Yeah.
understand what solar and KP indexes are. So it's quite a massive field that you need to put attention to and study in. But what I must say is having a pilot license is not going to be enough for you.
Mm.
You have to have some sort of expertise that you bring with it. Drone shouldn't be seen as the all rounder for everything you need to do because there's
Yeah.
a processing part at the end that you need to also execute on, and you need a specific skill to execute on that part. I can give you maybe two examples. When we do the surveying, we're collecting the data. If we don't have the skill and knowledge to process
Yeah.
the data, create the surface, put down the
Mm-hmm.
benchmark, create the geo reference
Yeah.
points for clients, the drone can't assist us really in doing that. So
Mm-hmm.
what I would suggest to youngsters is find a skill that you see you can associate with drones. Really home in on that, put the time and effort into work towards it, and then get the drone and start incorporating the drone in the knowledge that you now just acquired.
Mm-hmm.
Something that is also important to mention, there's something called an ROC, which is basically your commercial license that you need to generate profits from drone operations, right?
Yeah.
And in order for you to have an ROC, there comes a lot of capital that you need to spend on getting something like that.
Mm-hmm.
But this will allow you then to make the profit side of it. So at the moment, it's expensive to get into the market. but yes, it is a growing market. We have this thing that my business partner says so often. At some point in South Africa, an RPL is going to be like a driver's license, where
Yeah,
everyone is going to aim to get an RPL because drones are becoming so quickly and easily accessed now and available for everyone that
yeah,
in order to put some sort of control in, RPLs is going to be the way, which is your remote pilot license, is going to be
yeah.
the way to facilitate that.
And Mark, you actually mentioned something very profound there. You know, a drone is practically a tool. It's a
It's a
tool.
tool.
It's like a grinder or a drill or you know whatever. You need a skill that
Yeah.
goes to complement.
Need a skill.
And I think we
100%.
are maybe we are promoting this thing, giving people also false hope by telling them, guys, you need to get the drone, you need to take photos. No, you need to have a skill. I know what photographers they are good, you know, at the art, you know, and they use drones in taking photos at weddings and stuff. So it actually it sorts of work well together. So I
Yeah.
think what you mentioned there now was something that we need to look at, and we need to promote this in a way that getting themselves qualified in engineers, whatever, and from there onwards get a license. And I do agree with you. But apart from commercial, can people use this maybe as entertainment? Are rules just as strict for those that want to just fly down the road? Do they
Mhm.
also need a license? Do they also need to be in a secure environment? Just give us more a bit of a background on that, because a lot of children are
Mhm.
now getting their own drones and they're flying down the road, and neighbors are getting their drones. Do they
Yeah.
also need a license, or is it okay because it's entertainment?
Yeah. Not necessarily a license, Stan. I would say it would be a good thing for everyone to have a license.
Yeah,
Getting the license is not for you to make money, but it's more for you to understand and become accountable for what you are using.
yeah,
Essentially, it is a machine, it is an aircraft. It can endanger people's lives, it can hurt somebody, you can cause damage with it. So, as a hobbyist, what I would suggest is make sure that the area that you're flying is safe for you to fly, because there are very strict rules when it comes to flying as a hobbyist. You're not allowed to fly above certain heights, you're not allowed to fly at a certain distance from you. All of those things come into play. 50 meters away from any road, you need to fly.
mm,
You have to have permission when you're flying over someone's property, because we have now the Poppy Act that's also come into play for privacy of these individuals, and you have to be considerate when you're doing so.
yeah,
Above all else, and something that I put a lot of emphasis on, especially in our company as well, is safety. People need to make sure that they are staying safe. Those propellers spin at high speed. And if you
mm,
touch it with your hand or if it hits somebody, you can cause serious damage. The last
mm,
thing we want listed in South Africa is somebody dying from a drone incident. That would just shed more bad light on the industry than what there is already. So I
mm,
would urge everyone that has drones as hobbyists to be responsible. It's a really nice hobby to have, but be
mm,
responsible, fly safe, knowing where you are in the location you choose to fly. Make sure that it is not in a controlled airspace. You can use applications like the Google Earth. You can use Sky Demon. You can use all of those applications, and even on the DJI controller, it shows
mm,
you when you are in certain altitude restricted areas. So
yeah.
steer clear from those areas, rather be responsible and have fun. At the end of the day, that's all it's going to boil down
Yeah, yeah. Mark, somebody just asked a question here. Do you guys have any thermography services? At your company, just tell us the services that your company offers, also, so that we can just give the listeners. Maybe there's somebody in the area, or maybe they want to make use
to.
of
Yeah.
your services. Just give us more of a background
So
there as well.
there's quite a few services we come down to. So each and every section has, or each and every industry has its own services that we do provide. With the civil side, it is quantity surveying, surveying itself, land surveying. We can then do asset inspection, which is essentially taking existing buildings, drawing up models of them. We do 3D models, 2D model landscapes, latest ones, because if you go on Google, you don't see really the latest depiction of what's actually there. So all of those items on the civil side. Then when it comes to the asset inspection portion, we can do bridge inspections, thermography on solar farms. We do blade inspections on wind turbines. So there's quite a few things that happens in the asset inspection side as well. Uh, with our technology that we have, the image quality goes up to 45 megapixels, so you see the amount of detail you really need to see. That really saves on your health and safety instead of sending an individual up to those heights to inspect those blades. So that helps quite a bit. On the media side, we cover riots that's happening in the areas. We cover news items. We do advertisements for different companies, just in case they want a different perspective on how to execute their business and marketing. We all know social media is quite a big stream now, and people don't want to look at monotone type videos like they
Yeah,
used to do back in the days. Do
yeah,
you remember those big mark adverts?
yeah,
And you have this person speaking there and running through the product. Now people want dynamic things, and because social media is anywhere between 0 to 40 second videos that gets the most views
yeah,
now, that's something you aim to do at the end of the day. And then for the solar energy, the thermography that the user the comment came about, yes, we do offer thermography. We can detect hotspots on gas lines. We can detect hotspots on solar fields.
yeah,
Whether you're having certain temperatures overheating, we can preset temperatures on our drone to show that warning symbols as to what is overheating, what is not overheating. So those services are there. The technology is available to do that. People just need to try to tap into it a bit more and start doing the research and making requests around. There are companies in South Africa that are very well rounded, us
yeah.
included, that can offer a vast amount of services.
Mm. Mark, just a last question. I think people are so much into this because I can see the viewers are all popping up. I want to ask you quickly, Mark, the type of drones. I mean, I saw a DJI drone, I saw a Phantom. What what is the market out there? What is good? What is not good? And what is the cost of a liquor drone?
Of a liquid drone. So it boils down to a few things, Stan. At Skyspeak we only dabble into DJI products, but these
Mm,
products are developed for specific reasons. The payloads that it carries are for
yeah,
specific reasons. So if you're into photography, the latest photography and videography drone that was released now was the Mavic 3. You're looking at for the center package, you're looking at about say 70 to 80,000 rand to purchase something like that.
yeah,
For the drones that we use, you to get a fully or how can I say, a well sought after package for you to use. That is with your base station, your batteries, your charging kit,
mm,
the
mm,
drone itself, and the payload. You're looking anywhere between 260 to 350,000 rand. For the agricultural side, we use the DJI Agris T30s, which is also
mm,
ones that were released just last year. Those ones you're looking at anywhere between 270,000 and upwards per drone. So it's not really toys that you're playing with when you go into the enterprise side of drones. Yes, it's nice
mm,
to have them, but I
mm,
think the misconception that most people have is that you don't do that much flying. To be
yeah,
honest with you, you're not there flying and doing maneuvers and
yeah,
tricks and things. It's more of pre-flight planning. So before you get
mm,
to the field, all of the work is there, and it's more administrative work and planning work. By the time you
mm,
get to the field, you're pressing a button which is start, and the drone
mm,
executes what you planned. So it's nothing that you need to stand out there with the control and fly. Yes, it's
yeah,
nice to
yeah,
fly those things, but if you're
mm,
really into that space, the FPV drones are very nice to use. They get up to
mm,
110, 120 kilometers an hour. Also
yeah.
DJI products. And I think like your friend that you mentioned, what's his name, Mitchell?
Marshall.
Marshall. So Marshall, if he's building his drones, I'm sure he's into FPV drones. A lot of people that build their own drones are into those things. So it's
Mm,
it's it's good. It's good to have those kind of things. And then, like you mentioned, also startup costing for drones is really really
mm,
pricey. And
mm,
I think it's good. I know that for the country maybe not because our economy is not really there, but I think
yeah,
it is good because it's you get to a point where you need to decide, look, I'm serious about this. I've spent a lot of money, so I can't take risks with it. I can't fly it in areas where I know I'm going to be
mm,
crashing it, or
yeah,
flying it into a bridge or overlying cables or anything like that. So what tends to happen after you make the purchase is you become very aware of the surroundings, and the planning becomes a bit
yeah,
uh, uh, um, more articulate, if I can put it that way.
yeah. Mark, Thank you so much. It's really nice talking to you. And we learned a lot. I mean, the crop thing, I'm gonna go onto YouTube now and I'm gonna go Google that because I want to see this. But but the thing is, there's so a lot of opportunity and we need to grow. And then also we are not there yet. We still need to transition to to that point where we are the or get to the place where we need to actually be. But I want to just also ask you just to leave a message with our viewers, and how can they contact you, how can they get hold of you, because like I say, the drones is up and coming. Drones has been here for a while, but it's only now really where I can see people in Cape Town are actually getting
Mhm,
into it, and it
mhm,
can become a sport as well. I mean, you get this RC cars, and
mhm,
and and those cars are actually now big. So I assume later on it will get to a point where this becomes also something of a hobby where how those people will get together at the at the place and they will fly their drones in it. Just
mhm.
go from your side, just give some information on know what to look for, the pros and the cons, and just maybe a last word of
Mhm.
like encouragement to our people.
Look, Stan, thanks also for the opportunity again. I do appreciate you bringing me onto the platform. I know you've been asking me for some time to come
Yeah,
and have a chat with you.
yeah.
Obviously, things are just a bit busy my side, but what I will say is that I think everything starts off with a dream, Stan. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
you must find a passion when you look at when we out in the fields and the crowd starts to gather these
Yeah.
kids around you that's standing and watching. You end up inspiring them at the end of the day because that's the
Yeah.
future, that's the next generation that's going to take on these type of operations. That one little instance can change his whole life or her whole life. So for one, always, like I said, be safe when you are operating the drone out in any field because you don't know who's watching and
Mm.
who you're setting an example for. That's for one. What to look out for, the pros and the cons. Like I said, it's very good to fly a drone. It's a nice skill to have. Safety is a big concern. So we don't want you to get into trouble by hurting anyone. So stay safe
Yeah.
if you do fly. The cheaper drones are nice, but they tend to have a lot of drift. So if you really want to get into a drone as a hobby, try to go for some more of the well-known brands. Don't go into the cheaper brands because you'll find that you're crashing or losing these drones much easier.
Mm.
Um,
Yeah.
Take your time before you put the drone up in the air to make sure that you've checked everything, that there isn't funny noises, the blades
Yeah.
are all working properly, that your controls are working properly. Because you essentially going to be responsible for the next person if things go wrong.
Mm.
Then the other words of encouragement I have for the youth or anyone listening this trying to get into this sphere is that it does require quite a bit of capital to lay out ahead of time so that you can acquire a lot of the licenses and things. It is pricey at the moment. But what I must say for you is that if you have a job that you're doing or if you have a small business that you're running, start saving up some money on the side to get your RPL. There are companies that are constantly looking for pilots that has already worked on in a commercial space or that knows how to handle drones. Once you get into that space and you're in a good
Mm.
place like Cape Town specifically, where there are some good projects running, you
Mm.
can put your name out there and then people would look to use you for different projects that they have. So keep pushing. Don't give up on your dream if this is your passion. Everything
Mm.
is possible because you have to start somewhere at the end of the day. I think a lot of our youngsters in today's day and age just struggle with the first step. Once
Yeah.
the first step is taken, the rest follows. Be
Mm.
resilient and stay
Mm.
safe. That's all I have for everyone that's on the chat.
Marky, thank you so much. I will touch base with you soon again. We need to maybe have another follow up
Yep, no
and maybe
problem.
just maybe do something. But thank you so much for your time. Thank
No
you for the
problem, Stan.
information.
No,
I
100%.
really enjoyed it.
Yep,
All right.
100% Stan. We'll just say
Mark,
for the last before I exit, our
yeah.
social platforms, I will send all of those social links to you so that you can
Yes.
share. They can go
Yes.
on to www.skyspeaktechnologies.com and they can go and have a look at the services we provide there. Our site
Yeah.
is always uploading different images and videos and items,
Nice.
so we do go under a little bit of maintenance every now and then. But I'll send you most of our social media links and platforms so that we can you can share that to the viewers today and then we can go from there.
Please do.
No,
And on Facebook, it's also Skyspeak Tech, right?
Skyspeak
So
100%.
guys, please go like this page. Please, if you come on this website, if you come on this live tomorrow, please, if you didn't listen to anything, just like this page so that we can uplift and empower our own, and we can also follow Mark and his crew and see what they're up to. Mark, thank you so much, brother.
100%
It
Stan.
was really
Thanks to the viewers for joining
okay.
in. I'll see you, Stan. Thanks so
Okay.
much. Cheers. Bye.
Thanks, Ed. Bye. Guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Please do follow Mark, such and his team on Skyspeak Tech. You guys want to follow them. Also, pursue what they're doing because I still believe that this is still going to grow, and we want our youngsters to also, and those that young, but also the olds. If the old men kan ek 'n drone vliegers. If I can do it, then you can do it. So please do follow them and please do support them. It's very important for us to support our own. Sylvester says something here. Thank you for this. What does Sylvester say? Great one, sir. Blessings. And okay, thank you, Sylvester. And then you're breaking grounds, yes. And then Leslie says, yeah, that was very informative. It was Leslie. Thank you for giving him to us for the last couple of minutes so that we can just talk about this. But this is the type of conversations we need to have. This is the type of way. This is how we, empower others. How we share knowledge. So please, guys, if you want to know more about drones, follow them. And where is it now? Let me just go here on Sky Spec Tech and give their page a like. Also, go onto the website as well. Everything is on the Facebook page and check it out. So thank you so much, guys, and we'll be back soon again. Have an awesome, awesome, awesome evening, eh?